inspire your spirit, and ignite your leadership journey. This podcast is brought to you by Elevate Leadership Services. My name is Pearl.
And I'm Chiwechung.
We are the co founders of Elevate Leadership Services and the hosts of ElevatePod. The ElevatePod is dedicated to inspiring and empowering listeners, focusing on minorities and immigrants. We offer valuable tools, resources, and pathways to foster personal and professional development.
Today we have a great opportunity to interview Beryl Owino. Beryl Owino is originally from Kenya, but she lives here in the Sacramento area. And Beryl is going to be sharing her experiences, her journey, her thoughts, her ingenuities on a topic that is really of great importance, not only to us here on this panel, but also to each and every one of us, especially the immigrant women. The topic of the path of financial freedom. As we all know, financial freedom, or what I call true financial freedom, is not about how much you earn. It's how much you can manage what you have, how you can grow it, how you can multiply it so that you can have more. That's what true financial freedom is. But have also a mindset that is free, that you can allow you to sleep well. There always comes a time or a moment in our lifetime when we look at our lives. I think each and every one of us has done that and realize, is this all there is? And with that question, we realize that we are either living paycheck to paycheck, and that cycle actually gets to us. Sometimes we go through silent stresses. Sometimes we have to put our dreams on hold. But what if that moment is actually your beginning? Because it sparks something within you. So financial freedom isn't just about having more money. It's about needing less. It's about fearing less. And it's also about becoming more as an individual. It's about turning confusion into clarity, about turning the habits into hope, and turning the income that you have into impact. No matter how much you get, no matter where you are starting from, maybe you have high student loans. Maybe you only have a single income that cannot take you to the end of the month. There are always second chances. There is a way forward for you and for me. So today, this is your invitation to rise, to unlearn, to relearn, and to rebuild. So welcome to the podcast where we speak the truth, where we share tools, and walk boldly towards the future. And today, a future where money can no longer limit us, but it can launch us forward. And we have an individual that I call my young sister, who is going to actually tell us more about that. So let me tell you a little more about who she is and why she is the right person to speak to this topic today. Beryl Owino is the founder of the Wealth Shift. It is a movement, as she calls it, which is helping women, and especially immigrant women, to rewrite their money stories and also to step into the financial freedom that we all need. As a mom, an accountant, a first-generation immigrant, a wife, she grew her net worth from $12,000 to over $250,000 in just 5 years. And what it took was for her to shift her mindset. She embraced financial literacy and she built the new income streams. Her mission extends just beyond her personal success. She's creating a community where women can come together and openly discuss money, which is normally a taboo in many communities and cultures. She's making people to break free from their shame, their myth, and share their stories in a safe and supportive way so that other people can learn. And that's what she's actually going to be doing today as well. Through her workbooks, events, teaching, Beryl empowers women to learn, to grow, to create lasting wealth for themselves, their children, and their families. And as I mentioned, Beryl is a mother, and that is also her number one priority to ensure that she creates that wealth for them. So, Beryl, do you have anything to add?
Oh, I'm humbled by everything that you said. So no, I think the thing I want to add is I'm not sitting here as like a financial expert, or I started my journey really in 2019, just like everyone else. I was full of fears. I was always very financially overwhelmed, right? And always wanting to be like, can I just find someone to help me with my finances? So I just sit here wanting to share my financial journey because I truly believe that if I could do what I did or what I'm continuously doing, then a lot of us can and have the capability of doing much more than I am doing. And so I just hope to inspire every single person who is listening to this podcast today. I hope that they get something and they get inspiration, and just having to start opening up these conversations as women, right? Being free to share our stories, because for me, I learned a lot through hearing other people's stories. That's where my inspiration came from. And so I'm just hoping that I will also be able to pay it forward and someone might be inspired with my story today.
Wonderful. Excellent.
Wow, we are so honored to have you. Welcome again, Beryl. And to everyone that's joining us today, welcome to this episode. We're discussing the path to financial freedom. Financial freedom isn't just a destination, it's a decision. It's a decision to stop surviving and start designing a life that you love. A life where money becomes a tool for impact and not a source of fear. A life where your time is yours, your values lead the way, and your dreams are no longer delayed. Whether you're starting from zero, whether you're climbing out of debt, or building a legacy of wealth, this space is for you. No shame today, no fluff, just real stories, just real strategies, and real people who chose to break free. Because freedom doesn't begin with money,
Mm.
freedom begins with a mindset. And today, we choose to begin. So, Beryl, let's dive in. What does financial freedom mean to you personally? And has this definition changed over time?
So I think I'll start with how I used to think about financial freedom, right?
Okay.
So when I started my journey, I don't know if you've heard of the FIRE movement. It's like financial independence, retire early. It's like
Mm,
a whole
okay.
movement of people doing that, right? So I was like, okay, I like this. I want to retire early. But I think maybe that's not the whole premise, but from what I understood initially when I started, was that financial freedom was this magical number that I had to get to, right? So, and they have a calculation on how you can get to that number, right? So you basically take what you think your annual expenses are, and then you multiply it by 25, and then that's your number.
All right.
So I was like, okay, I can do this. When I started, it's like zero savings, zero financial literacy. I didn't even know what I was doing. So I'm like, okay, let's find my fire number. And I put it in, and it was 1.3 million. I was like, okay. So from where I'm at now, I'm 30 years old. I barely have any savings. I wonder how long it's going to take me to get there, right? So I do my compound interest calculation, and it's like, it's going to take you maybe when you're 65. That's when you're going to get to that number. So I'm like, wow, okay, so what does that mean for me then? Does it mean that, so the FIRE movement is like, so what they do is, the idea is once you get your number, you figure out a way how to get to that number as fast as you can, right?
Wow.
So little old me, I'm looking at my finances. I'm like, okay, I am going to live on rice and beans. I am going to deprive myself. I will have no life, and I am on a mission. I'm on a mission, right? So that's how my journey started, right? I create a plan. I say, okay, I'm going to try to save like maybe 30, 40% of my earnings to get to that number. I start to do it, and after 2 years, I'm tired, because it's like, I can't live a life where I'm really depriving myself. Like, what's the point of, and then it's like, the other realization I had was, in those 2 years living that frugality lifestyle, it was me training my mindset and me training my habits to live a frugal life, right? So even if I stuck with it and I got to the 1.3 million, I don't think that I would have been able to now live an abundance life, because this is years of you training yourself to live way beyond your means. And then all of a sudden you want to tell me that I can just go and start spending money. It's not possible. And I was so miserable. I remember like doing my plan, and I'm watching those numbers grow, and as satisfying as it was, I was just miserable. And I'm like, okay, this can't be what financial freedom is, right? So I really had to sit down and think. I don't think financial freedom is necessarily a number. The number is just a tool, right?
True.
So now the way I define financial freedom is, what type of how can I use money as a tool to help me live this financially free life? What does that life look like for me personally? Because it looks very different for all of us, right? So I was like, let's see how that life looks like. And then I saw the life, it was me maybe in some fancy schmancy house in Africa somewhere with some chickens, and it's just slow living, very simple lifestyle. And then I'm like, okay, so if today you had all the money that you needed, you got your 1.3 million, what would you spend your life doing, right? So let's say I'm 40 and I have my 1.3 million. What am I going to do with my life, right? So then I'm thinking, okay, when I'm financially free, and I think this is how a lot of us think about it, is when I finally get to that number, that's when I'll start living, right? That's when I'll start traveling. That's when I'll start that business that I want to start, because now I have money to do it. But for me, once I saw how that life was, I was like, what aspects of that life that I want to live can I take and bring and find a way of living it today? So then I'm living a financially free life, maybe not in the grand way I see it in my head, but in a more muted way, right? So then it's also creating habits. So instead of I dropped the habits of frugality. Now I'm creating habits of living an abundant lifestyle, right? Because I am taking aspects of what I think I want my life to be, and then I find muted ways to live it today as I'm waiting for the money to grow. You know, as the money grows, then, you know, I'll up the ante a bit, right? So that's what for me financial freedom is today. It's like, how can I use money as a tool to help me live a financially free life today with what I have today, and still having a plan of having more, right? So that's how I define it now. So some of the things where one of the things I thought about I wanted to do when I was financially free was start an organization where I can share my story of how I built my net worth or how I built my wealth over time with as many women as I can. How can I empower women to step into their full, you know, power, into also designing their life to where they can start building real wealth, leave lasting legacies for your family, you know, and live a financially free life. So that was one of the things that I wanted to do when I got to my 1.3 million. But then it's like, when I asked myself that, I was like, wait, I don't need to wait until I have 1.3 million to start an organization and start sharing my story and start teaching whoever I come across. I don't need 1.3 million to do that, right? I don't need 1.3 million to have a little farm in my backyard. I can just start growing vegetables in my backyard, which is something we started doing. Like, yeah, maybe not chickens yet, but there are certain things that I can do today to where, like, if you ask me, are you living a financially free life? I would absolutely say yes, because how I want to live my life when I'm 50 or 60 or 70, it's how I'm living that life today. You know, as I'm working towards that nice big number, you know? So that's how I see financial freedom versus how I used to see it. So it's like, I would say I used to put the cart, which was the 1.3 million, in front of the horse, instead of saying, no, you put the life first and then the money follows. That's how it works, right? It's like, when you have a dream to do something, you can't wait for the money to go after your dream. Your dream has to come first. And then what always happens is that now it's like, when I was working towards that 1.3 million, I was just very narrow-minded. I just thought, like, okay, the only way I can get to that 1.3 million is working hard, being a good employee, saving as much as I can. But you know, you can't cut back your way into wealth. There's only so much cutting back you can do, right? And then there's also so much time, as like, I have a 2-year-old, a 12-year-old, I'm a mom, and you know, it's like, I only have 24 hours, so I can't really hustle my way into it as well, right? But by taking one of my dreams, which was like starting an organization, I'm like, well, I might inspire other women, but then this might also turn into being one of the sources of income that makes me more income than the income that I would get from work, then that gets me to that number faster.
Wonderful.
So it's always, the dream comes first and then the money always follows, always follows. So that's how I see it now.
Perfect. Perfect. You know, I'm so happy to hear about your thought about how you used to look at it and how you look at it now. And I'm very happy to hear that you are living a comfortable life now, not only waiting to live a comfortable life in the future. And I think that's what many people do. And I hope our audience who is listening, audiences that are listening to this, understands that you cannot live for wait to live for the future. You have to start living now.
Yeah.
And that future, you start planning for the future. As you live now, you continue to plan like what you've done. So I'm so happy, and I think as young as you are, so the future is even brighter. I think we talked about your net worth, how it has grown in the 5 years that you started just educating yourself, but also just shifting your mindset, right? And you grew from $12,000, which I think was giving you nightmares, to 250, where now you can say, you know what, I can go and eat different types of ice creams, right? So, so if we look at it, so can you just walk us through your first breakthrough towards this financial independence that you found? Because from 12,000 to times, I can't remember how many digits I can multiply that is. Other
Yeah.
people would want to learn about your journey, your path. How did you do it?
So it all started from one of the biggest financial mistakes, which we'll talk about later. But it started from a mistake, a very huge, costly mistake to me, that I was like, I must learn something. You know how they say, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me.
On
No,
yourself.
shame on you, fool me twice, shame on
On
me.
me.
I always add another line and I say, like, if you fool me 3 times, then I am a fool. Like, completely, right?
Right.
So for me, it started from a mistake that I was determined to correct, a huge financial mistake. And so I remember in 2019, I, one day I had been working like in my 20s. I used to do a lot of minimum wage jobs, right? Like I think I was at most earning 24,000 a year annually. And I was still going to school and everything. And finally, when I got my dream job, my accounting job, and my income almost like multiplied by 3, like really increased.
Good.
I remember I started my dream job when in 2017. And in 2019, I looked at my finances and I had nothing. I think I just got so tired, like I was still living paycheck to paycheck. I was still, in debt. Like there was just no breathing room. And then so I'm sitting here with my little baby at that time, like, well, she wasn't so little, but I was sitting here with my girl and I'm just thinking, okay, I something has to change. Like, where's the disconnect, right? So because when I used to earn little money, my excuse was that, well, I don't, you're telling me to save what money? I don't have any money to save. I'll start saving when I start getting paid more.
More money.
But then here I am getting paid more. So what's my excuse? I have no excuse of being in debt. I have no excuse of having no savings whatsoever, because I can't use that as an excuse anymore. So I realized it's my mindset. My mindset was broken. The way I was spending money, the lifestyle creep, I lacked self-control when it came to money. I did not have any type of discipline, and that's why I didn't, save any money. So I really had to be honest with myself, right? And have those really honest conversations where I'm like, okay, let's sit down and just look at what's going on. And I think sometimes that's the hardest part. Like, you'll be surprised at how many people don't even know how much income they're bringing in into their households, let alone how much is leaving their house. No one ever like really sits down and tracks, because I think it's like, for me, the longest time, it was easy to be an ostrich and bury my head in the sand, because looking at the reality of what my finances was just going to be so depressing. And then once I looked at it and I knew what was going on, I had a responsibility to myself to do better. And I don't think I was ready for that. I didn't want to be accountable. I just wanted to blame maybe Uncle Sam or blame the economy for my poverty, someone, anyone but me, right? But I think in 2019, I got tired, honestly. I got tired, and personal finance would really overwhelm me because I didn't know anything, especially just being an immigrant here. it's like there's no course that you can take in school, right? That says, okay, now you're a new immigrant, come and take this financial class. And which would be great, wouldn't it? And we'll explain what credit means and why you should have credit, and we'll explain what all these retirement accounts mean, or how to grow money in this country. Like, it's like I was just clueless. I came here with the same knowledge that I had back home. Like, but here, well, what land am I going to buy? There's no land I'm going to buy. Like back home, you can just buy a piece of land or whatever. I'm not definitely not going to build a house with, like, how, you know? So my idea of how you grow money was definitely not going to be applicable in this country. And I really needed to do better, because I was like, okay, now you have a child. If you drown, this baby is drowning with
Drowning
you.
as well.
You're both drowning. So now I had not only a responsibility to myself, but more so to my daughter, right? Like, what do I want to teach this girl as she grows up? Like, what type of a woman do I want her to grow up? So really, she was my inspiration, right? So I sat down, I looked at my finances, and I started listening to podcasts, right? Because I was like, okay, you need to get financially educated. And so, where the internet, thankfully. So I started listening to Dave Ramsey. That's the first financial podcast that I would listen to. Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman. They used to have this episode, like, can you afford it, or whatever,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And Dave Ramsey, but I loved Dave Ramsey so much because it was just ordinary people with ordinary stories, telling their stories of how they sat down and buckled down and got out of debt and started saving. And now it's like they can really clearly see that they're going to be financially independent. So I was like, wait, these people, it's not like some of them weren't earning as much. It's not like I was earning a lot of money, but they were earning much less than I was. But when they share the stories of what they had been able to accomplish, I was like, I think I can do that, right? So in 2019, I had a plan: get out of debt and become financially literate the whole of 2019. So I came up with a plan. I saw how much income I was bringing into the house. I sat down with my expenses and I looked at it, and I was like, from now on, I'm only spending money on needs. It's rice and beans. That's where it started, right? So we cut back, and the rest of it, I'm just going to throw it into debt. So that was the plan. And so the plan was, by the end of 2019, I should have some financial education, number one, and I should be completely out of high consumer debt, credit cards, and I managed to pay off my car. So then come 2020, I was ready to now begin to grow money. So this was the part where I think for me was scary, because I used to think that putting money into the stock market was gambling. Like, I don't know anything about the stock market. Like, what is that? Like, ask me, a whole accountant, ask me what a stock was at that point. I don't know what a stock is. People are saying open a Roth and invest in a stock ETF. What is that? I don't know what that is, right? So I started listening to this podcast. It's called The Money Guys. They'll break down what a 401k meant, and what a Roth meant, all this financial jargon, like the language that you really need to understand. And I was like, okay, I still don't understand anything, but I'm just going to come up with a plan based off of the percentages that they're advising you to do. So the advice was, make sure you're meeting your 401k match at your job. If you can, max out your Roth IRA every year and put money in a HSA account. And then if you have more money, put it in some individual account, have an emergency fund, like a 6-month emergency fund. So I had a framework, right? And so I built this Excel worksheet, and I called it Pay Yourself First Plan. I was like, okay, this is the year I'm going to experiment. you see, I am going to start investing money into the stock market. And oh God, I hope I don't lose my money because this was going to be the beginning of because I had to break free from all these lies. Like I used to be so, I think, very my harshest critic, you know, very hard on myself. I have very high expectations of myself. And it can be very detrimental, right? Like the self-talk sometimes, like the way we talk to ourselves.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, would you ever talk to someone like that? I'm like,
Mm.
so why is it okay for you to say all these things like I'm bad with money, I can't manage money, I'm stupid, I don't understand why I can't get ahead, I'm feeling behind. I had to break all those lies that were in my head. And this is the experiment that was going to help me do that. So I came up with a plan. I decided how much money I was going to invest every single month, how much money I was going to put in each bucket. And we're going to see. Let's see if we lose the money. Because I had already lost a bunch of money. So I wasn't like scared anymore. And really that year, 2020 was a tough year just because of COVID.
COVID, yes.
But for me, that year was I would say, one of the best years of my life, just from not just financially, but it just showed me the power that was within me as a
Within you.
woman and the things that I could do. And at that time I was a single mother. So it was just me and my
Daughter.
baby, you know. But that year really showed me the power that lived within me, you know, because I don't think up to that point I wasn't a very confident person. I wasn't very confident in myself. I wasn't very confident in my own abilities. But creating that plan and being disciplined and keeping the promises that I made to myself of consistently saving,
Mhm.
that is what really it reintroduced me to who I am,
Mm.
you know. And for me, that was like the biggest financial breakthrough, because in that one year, I remember I wrote it down. Like in January, my total net worth was like $12,000. And that's money that was sitting in my 401k for, I don't know, for like, it took me maybe 5 years to save that money. And just being disciplined and consistently following my plan at the end. So at the beginning, I started with 12,000. And at the end of that same year in 2020, I had 50,000 total.
Wow.
So I had saved a total of 38,000,
38,000, yeah.
and I was only earning 58,000 annually. So the gross take home pay that I was bringing home was about 46,400. So, and
Wow.
then out of that, I managed to save 38,000, but it's because I took the courage to put my money into the stock
To the
market.
stock
I
market.
would not have been able to save that much money if I was just putting the money into a savings account, you know. So the most valuable lesson for me that year was, okay, self-discipline, self-honor, self-respect, consistency, automating your savings, and just staying on your plan and believing in yourself and investing in the stock market. That's what builds wealth. That's how you do it.
Perfect. I
Wow.
love the word consistency is the word that I have for me for this year as a word of the year. And I think it shows the power, it shows from what you're saying, the power of
Yes.
consistency. And I think it also shows the power of discipline, because consistency alone cannot work if discipline is not there. So you showed the discipline, you showed the consistency, and you also showed the shifting of your own mindset, the learning, the retooling of yourself so that you can learn to become a saver, not only a saver, but a person who is at least preparing for the future whilst enjoying the present. So that was excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm still hung up on that mistake though.
That's
Are
a
we ready
juicy
to get
story.
into it?
That, yes, please.
Hopefully
That
it's
one,
the
I'm telling you. And it's not just, if you hear this story, you're like, I can relate.
Yeah, I think this one is going to be because it's financial. We are really
Yeah,
hinging on time, but let's go. I think we have some time.
yeah.
I think people want to hear this one. I think it's important.
Yeah, okay. I know, well, at least for myself, I know there's been many mistakes, but the next question is on mistakes. I don't know if it's the one you were referring to or one
The
of, but
one. Mhm.
what was your biggest money mistake and what did it teach you?
So my biggest money mistake is when I lost $80,000. So there's a little story here. When I got pregnant, when I was 6 months pregnant, I got fired from this job that I had, and it's illegal, right? Clearly, you can't do that. So I sued the company and I got a settlement, and I think it was around 80K. When I got that money, I've never even seen $1,000 in my account at any particular point in my life since being in this country, right? And then all of a sudden you have 80,000. I was like, I have no clue what I am going to do with this money. So what do? I called my parents. I got this money. What am I supposed to do with it? Like I knew maybe I should save it or invest it. So that's why I called them. But I think that was mistake number one, right? Because it's like I'm living in a completely different
Culture.
country and different financial system, but then I'm calling someone who lives in a different country for advice. Like it just doesn't translate, right? So they say, oh, buy a piece of land, of course, because isn't that what
Right.
we do? Buy a piece of land. So I take 30 grand, I buy a piece of land. And then I was like, okay, now I
Where did
need a
you
new
buy the
car.
piece of land?
In Kenya. I bought this
Okay,
piece of land in Kenya.
all right.
Mind you, it's been over 7 years.
Mhm.
I've been trying to sell that piece of land. I cannot sell it. I am unable to sell it. I'm stuck with it. I can't find a buyer. So that was mistake number one. Mistake number two, I was like, I have money now. Let's go buy a car. I go buy a new car, 25,000, gone like that. I buy that new car and I literally kept it for 6 months, I think. I kept that car for 6 months because at some point I just decided I'm tired of America. I'm going back home. So what am I gonna do with this car? I end up selling it for $6,000.
Whoa.
So
Ooh,
I know. So that money it's gone, right?
yeah.
And then at some point, one of my relatives in Kenya was struggling. They had a house and they were struggling to pay it. And then they were like, hey, I could sell you this house. So we come up with an agreement. Like I'm going to give them 20,000 and then the house is going to be mine. So I'll take over the payments. And then
No
once I'm
agreement.
done paying it off, then they'll sign it over to me. That was the agreement. How long do you think that agreement lasted after I gave them that
One
money?
day. They
It was
disappear.
like at first they took the money, they went, they paid it, they got caught up, and then they were like, oh, so you're going to take it over? Yes. So every month I'm paying for it. And then when I come back, I'm like, wait, this is not sustainable. Like the mortgages, the interest rates in Kenya are so high. I was like, okay, now I've run out of money. That 80K is gone. I spent it. I bought a piece of land that I can sell. I 25,000 used it for a car that I sold. So
That's
that money is
55,
disappeared. Right. And
55,000.
then and then the rest of the 20K I gave this relative to
Yeah, that's
it's
75
gone.
and
Yeah.
5,000 somewhere else in gas.
All of that now we were sharing. You know how it is. You have money now. So I'm gonna give this to my dad, my mom, my brothers, everyone, all my relatives. And oh my gosh. That money disappeared within 2 years. I went back to just living paycheck to paycheck, having no money. It was gone just like that. That was like, I think I sat down and I was like, how is it that I have no money at all? Like
After
nothing.
all this. Mhm.
it was gone. And I think after that, I was just like, yeah. And then that relative, after a while, I was like, hey, I can't keep up. I can't afford to pay this mortgage payment. So let's just sell the house and divvy up the money. They said, sell whose house? That's my house.
My house.
I don't want to sell my house. So that money just, and because I don't want to fight, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let it go because I'm not going to sever my relationship because of money, right? So I had to let it go. But that's how I lost that. That was my biggest money mistake. And it was the best thing that happened to me. Because if I didn't make that mistake, it was after that mistake when I had briefly moved back home for 6 months. And I was like, I can't continue because it's like everyone goes back to their own life, right? Because I'm no
Right.
longer visiting, I'm living there. And then so me, I wake up every day, everyone's gone to work, I have nothing to do. I'm like, okay, so now what? What am I gonna do? And then I still have a little child here that I need to take care of and provide for. So I had to come back, you know. But then after coming back, I was like, no, this is never going to happen to me again. So that's when I sat down and I was like, okay, you need to find a way of becoming financially literate, and you need to find a way of learning how to grow and manage your money properly. Otherwise, if these are the types of mistake you're going to be doing, I don't even, just pray you don't even live till 60, because I don't know how you're going to survive. You know, it was a very, that's the mistake that I'm talking about, you know.
Wow. Wow.
Well, you know
That's
what?
how,
They say that every mistake that we make actually brings in something to an individual. It brings in growth because you
yes.
you learned something. As you
Mm-hmm.
said, you have three things. You were not, your food once,
Yep.
twice. You haven't fooled yourself the third time because otherwise you call yourself with
I'll,
FOOL.
I'll be a fool.
But
Yep.
out of that, and I think sometimes that's what they say. There are times when they say money we don't work for harder, it's easier
Mhm.
to spend it, and I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
maybe something that you can see in this picture.
Mhm.
But now you've realized that every money that you earn, no matter how you earn it, you have to think wisely on how you spend it. Because it has to grow before you start diving up. Yeah.
Man,
But
that
also,
was
it
a
also taught you that, you know, if you have to make an agreement, make sure that you have a piece of paper before you send the money.
no. Ugh. Mm.
Yeah, that's it.
Agreements.
I think, you know, the challenge is we have so much, and I think the stories that you're talking about are the stories that many people make,
Oh yeah.
and they.
I mean, think about it. How many of us have been like you're sending money back home, trying to build
Mhm,
a house, and
mhm.
I mean, I have so many stories I've heard of people just losing their money to
Yes,
relatives
yes,
who are lying to them that, yeah, I'm
yes.
building this house, and kumbe, they're either using that money to build their own home,
Mhm, mhm.
or they're just using that money, period, and
Yeah,
they don't care,
yeah.
you know. And then when you go back, you're like, I sacrificed so many years and picked up
Mhm.
so many shifts. Like, do you know how much I was working? They don't know because it's just, to them, it's like you're in America. What else?
The money tree is
You have
behind
it all.
your backyard.
Mhm.
Money trees in the backyard. So, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure we all have all these stories,
yeah,
but I think the most important thing is just learning, finding a lesson in
yeah,
all
yeah.
of that pain, and
Yeah.
yeah,
But however, what I see in you is not letting the money destroy the relationships.
mm,
And I think it's very common here. You take, if you can take 100, 500, or 1,000 from somebody here, the relationship can just be, they can take you to court or anywhere else. To what
yeah,
end, right?
mm,
I think there
yeah.
come a point where you ask yourself, is money all of it?
Mm.
Or this relationship that I have, it has happened, but I'm not going to. But the relationship changes, but
It does change,
it
yeah.
does change, but you won't take it to a level where you become, I think, estranged to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Because what
Yes.
to happen, it will bring in a lot of family squabbles. It will bring in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in here, and the division starts. But taking
Yeah.
that road where you decide, I think it's just money. and you become blessed because you're going to be blessed in a way
Right?
to make even more
Exactly.
because of
You
that
always
learning.
make
Yeah.
more.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of time, Pearl, we are almost there. I think the topic is a topic that I would love us to continue just talking about, and the stories that you have, Beryl. I think you bring us down to earth because this is what's happening to many people, real life.
Yeah.
And growing the money of what you've done is what we want other people to learn, is to be consistent, to be disciplined, to be
Yes.
mindful, to have a plan, and to stop going to McDonald's every day or having that smooth coffee every day from Starbucks. Every day you buy $7 of coffee, which you can make from home. So,
Those little things that
mhm,
eat up your money, you know what I
mhm,
mean?
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm,
It's
mhm, mhm.
those to my little things,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
you know? Yeah.
yeah.
But I feel like I've developed like almost like a system where I'm in a space where I don't budget anymore.
Mhm, mhm,
Just because, if you start paying yourself fast,
mhm,
if you automate your savings and you
mhm,
never touch your savings,
mhm,
and you're
mhm,
always consistently checking that your investments are growing,
mhm.
you don't need to budget because you know that the money that's hitting my checking account to
I
pay
can
for my
spend.
lifestyle, that's the only money I have. So you have to
Correct.
learn how to live within
Within.
those limits, right?
Excellent.
If you're
Excellent.
disciplined, because other people, you just,
The audience, are you hearing what she says? Pay yourself first. By paying
pay
yourself first,
yourself
put
first.
your money in a savings, and the savings that takes your money before you see your money in a checking account, everything is taken out,
Yep.
right? Which
Yeah.
means you've paid yourself, you're saving, and you can chew every one of the dollar that is in your checking account because you have saved.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
feel like
don't
we've just
normalize debt too,
Mm-hmm.
because in
Mm-hmm.
this country, right,
Yes.
it's normal for it's normal
Mm-hmm.
for people to say, oh yeah, I have this debt and I have that debt, like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has debt. No,
No,
not everyone has debt. People who are careful with their money make sure that if they do have debt,
they
is
pay.
debt that is serving a greater purpose in their life,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Helping them to make more money, not
Yes.
consumer debt and things like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's breaking those little mindsets of it's normal
Correct.
to have debt. It's not normal to have debt.
Yeah.
I don't earn enough to save. Even $5 is saving
Yeah.
something,
Yeah.
because it's all about building good habits.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's that muscle memory of being disciplined enough. Even if I don't have a lot of money, if I just put $10 away, I'm cultivating a saving. Because you know what the
It's a
truth
percentage.
is?
Mm-hmm.
If you don't learn how to save on a small salary, you're not
You
going
know.
to magically learn how to do it on a big one.
Yeah.
You
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 know,
won't do it.
I am so happy you're saying that because I remember, I think my mother saying that, oh, can say, oh, I don't earn enough. I can. I said, if you cannot give exactly what you said. If you can't not give anybody when you're earning this little, do you think you're going to give when your lifestyle is
No,
escalating? You won't,
you
because you
won't.
want more. You want to
Mm-hmm.
buy luxury. You want to buy this, and the cost is becoming more and more. So
Mm-hmm.
yes, I agree with you. Save when you have. It's not even a set. It's a percentage of your salary.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the amount. It's a yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
I feel like we've just barely scratched the
I
surface.
know.
Like we need a part two or something. But if I could just squeeze in, agreeing with what you're saying, save even with that little income. But now, what advice would you give to someone who's drowning in debt, limited income, like literally has nothing left? Maybe they're already living way beyond their income, way beyond their means. How do they get back on their feet?
There's a saying my dad likes to say. He says chaka chaka. Chaka chaka means just start in Luo. Just start. You have just start from where you are, right? It's being honest with yourself, because I used to be that woman. I used to be that woman who was drowning in debt. I was a single mom. I was drowning in debt. I used to be that woman who used to couch surf in my friends' homes. I don't think they knew, but I was essentially homeless. I used to be that woman. So I completely understand that notion. But if you don't start doing something, then nothing is going to change for you, right? So if you're drowning in debt and you have very, very limited resources, just just look at where you can start. Even just paying $5 towards, first you have to plug the leak, right? Especially if you're drowning in debt, stop adding more debt on it, right? Let's just put ourselves on a place where you're like, okay, I am going to feel the short-term pain of having to somehow try to live beyond my means. And if that means bringing your lifestyle down, if that means moving from your 2-bedroom apartment to a 1-bedroom apartment, or moving back home, or finding a roommate, do it, right? But just start doing something. Start committing to, maybe let me just start tackling this small debt that I have. Throw $5, surely. $5. Instead of buying McDonald's or going to In-N-Out, right? Especially now, the way it's so expensive to buy, like, right? That $10 could be, you throw it towards your debt, or if you have nothing, you throw it towards like a savings account. That's $10 more that you never had. That's $10 less in debt that you had. But if you don't start, nothing is going to change, right? So start and really become financially literate, because no one can do it for you. No one can do it. This is personal finance. It's called personal for a reason. It's personal. You must take the initiative to teach yourself these things, right? Because you know how those athletes who have a lot of money, when they retire and then they lose their money, and they find out that their money was being chewed by the manager. Why do you think that happens? It's because they had the money, but they did not take the time to educate themselves, and that's why they lose the money. So just get financially educated, because even me, when I was drowning in debt and I had nothing, I started by that, like saying, okay, let me find places where I can get inspiration. Let me find another woman who likes to talk about money. Let me link up with another, like we used to do this at work with my coworkers. We'll do challenges, little challenges. You're in debt, write a plan, and we're going to consistently be accountable to each other. Like, hey, how is that going? Did you pay? You said you're going to put 100 towards your debt this month. Did you do it? You know, so just find a community of like-minded women like you know, and challenge yourself. But you have to start from somewhere.
Chaka
You
chaka.
know, chaka chaka.
Accountability.
That's it. Chaka chaka.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to hear what you're saying, and you are the right person to talk about it, because you know what it is. You have lived it. You have experienced it. You have journeyed through it. And today you are able to talk about what it was to what it is today. How you define financial freedom to how you define it today. And the difference it has made in your life, in your daughter's life, in your son's life, and in your husband's life now. So you have educated everybody. Even anybody, many of us may be familiar with this, but it's also always good to hear, so that we can continue to actually be prudent with what we have as well.
Right? Yeah, I think it's important to share our stories, because if you see a woman who looks like you, with the same experiences like you, we're all immigrants. We're all trying to live this American dream. And if you find someone who's figured out something, and we're willing to share this knowledge with each other, that's how really we start rising as women, right? So I think it's just important to normalize talking about money.
Amen.
It's
Amen.
a mindset, like you said. You said something earlier that caught my attention. It's a financial mindset, especially considering our upbringing. our culture.
Yes.
We're trying to balance two different cultures, upbringings, and just interests me how you had your money here. But because of our culture and our upbringing, that we wanted to seek advice from where we're coming from. And then there's always that confusion on where to apply this and where not to apply that. So the stories might be different, but we all can relate in one way or another. And I'm sure our listeners do agree with this. This was very insightful. Thank you so
Amen.
much for just sharing your journey with us.
Yeah. What a marvelous journey. What an insightful journey. A journey full of learning, relearning, and rebuilding as we started in this topic. But because of time, unfortunately, we cannot just go on and on. But we would like you to come again. I think, and more importantly, I think we need to ensure that maybe we bring people who have the same mindset and discuss this topic
Yes.
and share ideas of how we have all done it, or we are continuing to do it, and we are continuing to learn.
Yes.
So, in closing, my dear, thank you so much for educating us, educating our audience, the immigrant women, the minority women who needs this information. And it's so powerful that you, the most experienced person who walked the path, delivered it with us. So as we see, financial freedom isn't a finishing line. It's always a start, and the start of a mindset. It begins with you having clarity as to where you want to be. It begins with you fueling your mindset with a lot of discipline so that you can succeed. And then the maturity that comes with it, and with the generosity that you end up having. As we close today's episode, let's ask ourselves, what's one particular step am I going to take today to break through the financial chain tomorrow? You deserve a life of peace, not pressure. And I hope you choose wisely, and I hope you live freely. And I hope that freedom brings good night sleeps. Thank you to our audience for listening.
Thank you so much for having me.
And before I give my closing remarks, would you like to share how someone can find you?
Wonderful.
Someone might need extra advice. How can they reach you, considering you're looking to share with more women about your journey?
So I am starting to create workbooks, and right now I have two workbooks that I have finished creating. And one is, it's a lot of journaling, but it helps you to change your financial mindset. And the other one is about debt. It shows you the steps that you can take to get out of debt. And so it's a community. I have a YouTube page. I'll share my links with you. I have an Instagram page. Anyone who wants to learn about money tips, they can come and join me. And they can also, I'll share all that information with you and share my website, and they can drop my email. So then when I'm launching my program, they'll be the first people to know about it, and you can be my founding members and join the
Yay.
Well Shift community. And it's just going to be really a transformational space for especially immigrant women, right? To have a space where we can grow and rise together in this amazing country. Like, there's so much money in this country, and we must have a piece
A piece of it.
Right.
piece of
It
it.
must
Yes.
tap in.
Yes, so I'm definitely going to share my handles, and right now you can start with I'm giving out like a free workbook journal, the money mindset journal, to start your journey. because that's the most important part. Before you learn how to get out of debt, before you learn how to invest, before you learn anything about money, you must first rewire your money mindset. And I will be gifting the first 10 to whoever contacts me. I will share that workbook with you. And then
Wow.
if you want to continue the journey, you can go to my website, take a financial literacy test, and that test will tell you where you are financially, and it will recommend what workbooks, what journal workbooks you should take to continue your journey into building real wealth. It's like a program that this is a journey that I have walked myself, and I just put it down on to say, you know what, I think if this transformed my life, because sometimes I think saving over $250,000 in, like, it's not even been 5 years, actually, it's been 4.5 years, right? And it's mind-boggling to me. I can't. And having saved all that money, I've never earned over six figures in my life. So, it's not like I
Wow.
had like some big shot powered job here.
Yeah.
No, I haven't earned actually over $80,000, and I managed to do this. So
Wow.
imagine all the nurses that we have in this
Mm.
immigrant community making a
Mm.
lot of money, and the
Wow.
doctors and the engineers, and so we can do a lot. And I am creating that exact type of community for us. So
Wow.
I
You
Wow.
will
have
share
done.
all that information with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. Such a wealth of information. If you're listening, please tap in. We all need this. Thank you so much, Beryl, for sharing. And we look forward to being the founding members, myself included.
Yes,
Awesome.
we're
I
all
am
going to
Yes.
join
excited.
to support and continue to relearn.
Yes.
Right. So thank you again for joining us today. We're so honored to have you. And to our audience, every dollar you earn is a vote for the life that you want to live. But true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts, as we have heard today. It's in the freedom to dream, the freedom to give, to rest, to serve, and to still live for today. As you unplug from this episode, please plug into your purpose because financial freedom is the soil where legacy grows. We
Mm.
look forward to seeing you in the next episode, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you for joining this journey to elevate and inspire. Until next time, lead with purpose and grow with passion. Thank you.